All right, here we are. What's up, everybody? JD Temple back again, and I've got a very special guest this evening, Mr. Kurtis Joseph. Thank you for coming on, man. What's going on?
I'm just chilling, man. I appreciate you having me on, bro. It's nice to be able to talk to somebody, because when I teach, I'm so fucking dead serious. I get this monotone, down to business deal going on. So it's nice to just be able to talk and chat. I appreciate the opportunity, bro. Seriously.
I appreciate you being here, man, and that's why I like these podcasts, especially live like that, because that's the approach that I take and the way that I see it. It's just like two buddies having a chat about shit that they're passionate as fuck about. And so it's awesome. It's organic. It's compelling. And then we have the element of the group chat. And I'm hoping that we'll have a lot of people asking questions and, feedback, whatever, we'll check on that. I've got it right here so I can monitor it. But you and I were just chatting for a few minutes and talking about your tome, Black Magick of Ahriman. And I was telling you how frightened I was of it, reading that first chapter, months and months and months ago. I really did feel like I was in your head and I could see everything playing out like a movie, man. And it was, I was like, fuck, dude. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And it is interesting because everything within that book has a spiritual purpose. And that's pretty much what that chapter was empowered to do. Every bit of that book is sacred, man. It's the work of the gods. It relays spiritual principles that technically should not be able to be explained with human words. And when people read that chapter, they are getting into my head. But even more so, as I was saying to you before, they're actually getting into the collective subconscious and their current repulsion of that which is supposedly evil. So they are actually seeing my vision within their mind through the filter of their own subconscious. So they're going to experience it according to their own greatest fears. And, that's really what the book is about. It is about separating those who are ready for the work from those who are not. It's basically a built-in insurance policy. And like I told you, it's not really about separating the weak from the strong. It's more about putting people off who just aren't quite yet ready to go there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because honestly, you got to have a little bit of fucking extreme crazy.
Up here. Definitely.
Before you go. I mean, because Ahriman is the origin of evil. He is the origin of the adversary. So,
I could say
and it's new to the West. There are authors, man, like Michael Ford,
Mm-hmm.
Michael W. Ford. I
really like him a lot. Yeah.
He's touched on Ahriman. He really touches on him a lot from his own perspective, bro. But my diving into the depths of that abysmal fucking current, man, it's so much more fucking refined, and that left no stone unturned.
I mean, how did that happen for you? Like, was this something that you had an interest in? Or, I mean, it seems like it just kind of, you just totally embody the spirit of Ahriman and like an oracle for him. I mean, how did that really just happen? Was it just kind of like, did you have like a spiritual moment when it happened, or was it like a gradual process, or how did that play out?
It hit me like a ton of bricks, man. Actually, I was doing an open project. No, it was an initiation project under a Zenith Mason because I was becoming involved with Temple of Ascending Flame. And, her work had, for some reason, dude, within a matter of weeks, faculties to that which I would never, ever imagine I would get to.
So he was like unexpected, like it was like so profound, like holy shit.
Yeah, dude. I started doing the first few weeks of the project dealt with Lucifer, man, and it was right around the end of that 9-week project that I had this encounter with Akomana, the Div of evil mind, and that spirit never left my side. He's still there, just about all the time, man. And he pretty much yoked me up and said, look, this is yours. This work is yours. As a matter of fact, his exact words were, I have both good and bad news. This work is
right. I remember that in the chapter, I think.
This work is indeed yours. It is your beginning, yet it is your end. Initiation begins now. And shit, dude, it was the most frightening experience I've ever had in my life. You know what I mean? Because the people that are interested in the book, I mean, people can read the book, but they all have a choice. You know what I mean? I really almost did not have a fucking choice. I mean, I did, let's face it. I could have put the work down, but it was so fucking profound, man. The shit that these spirits were showing me, it was almost like a fucking drug. The power that I was experiencing that was flowing through me, the visions I was having. I mean, it was just constant communion with these spirits, man. And it was like this army was being fortified around me as I developed real relationships with these beings. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just roll with it, man. And people, you know, they're like, I don't believe you did that. Like, that's just fucking crazy. And people watch the transformation.
Do you think they would have destroyed you if you didn't follow through with this?
No, I think I would have destroyed myself. I think this was a way for me to face my own demons. It was almost like these ancient currents of energy saw the nature of my subconscious mind, and it was like my higher self, if you want to call it that, was calling forth this dark night of the soul experience. And my higher self chose this specific pantheon and culture, and it just dragged it into my corporeal experience so that nothing fucking crazy happened to me. Because I was headed towards, you know, self-destruction. I really was. And through the dark night of the soul, most people are advised to put spiritual work down because you're not going to get any results. You're having issues with faith in yourself, faith in your gods. You're having a hard time functioning in life. But you see, that was the secret for me, not doing the work for the sake of result. The work was all that I fucking had. These spirits were all that I fucking had. So though they represented and were my most ferocious and malign fears, once I just embraced that and embraced them, I was able to see the totality of my potential and power. You know what I mean? That makes sense.
Oh, I can totally relate, brother, because that's kind of how it happened with me with a succubus experience. That's how I got on my path, man, is I had crazy nightly visitations that were terrifying the shit out of me, but they were, they felt amazing, but at the same time, it invoked so much fear and anxiety and terror into me that I had to research, find out what I was dealing with, because I was trying to combat it with normal, Judeo-Christian methods of like exorcising a demon. I thought I was dealing with a demon, you know, and like through the research of what it was, when now that shit wasn't working, that's how I came to the realization of what the truth was. So embracing it is what I needed to do, and it all the terror stopped, and everything started making sense, you know.
Right. Yeah, man, and you know, people need to realize too that I had to go through this fucking experience in order to be able to do this book in an authentic way. I made probably just about every possible mistake that could be made on this path. And I think that was done intentionally too. Essentially so people could learn from my mistakes and do things the right way. Because, you know, I have followers of the Path of Smoke now, and it has done nothing but enrich their lives. And I'm really happy about that. And in some ways I'm envious, you know, but they're really doing well, man. I mean, it's gotten people off dope. It's literally, it's curbed symptoms of Tourette's. It's helped people to manifest more prosperity in their lives. It's gotten them further within their careers. And they know where they're at spiritually. Whether they're down here or up here, it doesn't matter. They know where they're at. And because of that, through backward understanding, they know where they came from. And so they know where they should be going. And I think that's what magic is really about. You know what I'm saying? It's such a powerful thing when a magical current can do that kind of justice for you as an individual, man. You know, it really does you right as long as you have respect for the work. I also know some people that are getting pretty fucked up, you know, because they aren't taking it seriously. But all magic has the potential for that. I'm sure you know that.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And I can feel the joy that you have in your heart for all of the great things that it's doing in these people's lives. I mean, it's like there's nothing better than that. You know, I mean, that's that's what you live for, you know?
Yeah. Every Magus wants to experience that. You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm not the guy that really wants to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean? I want my students to actually take this and run with it, bro. I want them to take it and build upon it in an authentic way, which is very hard to do. I mean, you really have to immerse yourself. But I've always felt like if you want to prove yourself as a great teacher, the first thing you should do is show people the quality of your students. It's not about showing off as a teacher and showing people what you can do. It's not about, you know, throwing pearls to swine. No, bro. What you want to do is let your students grow to their full capacity, man, and let them take the fucking stage. That's what's important. And you know, when they're suffering from drug addiction, man, and their family all of a sudden watches them just stop cold turkey, this does two things. First of all, it repairs the relationship. And second of all, it gives the current a better name. Because let's face it, Hollywood and media, it's fucked us over hardcore, man. Everybody sees left-hand path magic or sorcery in general. I consider myself a sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily left-hand path, so to speak, but we all have a bad rap because of media. And
still adversarial, so I would definitely say that it would be pretty much.
Yeah, man, it's adversarial in regard to religion, but I'm fucking pro-human. I'm pro-human, man. Your kids, your family, everyone's kids, everyone's family deserves to live a happy and healthy and joyous fucking life. We do not need to be governed. We deserve to build the reality we want to live in. You know what I mean? And that power has been stripped from humanity, beginning with Zarathustrianism. Long ago, within the cradle of civilization, religious agendas were not spiritual movements. They were fucking political movements. And they harnessed fucking hardcore spiritual wisdom to literally shut off human potential and keep us enslaved. So what fucking human being wouldn't be adversarial? You know, it only makes sense. That's why I don't understand the bad rap. I don't get
I
it.
mean,
You know?
it's kind of like really when you think about it from the point of view that you just mentioned, it's like slavery is still prominent in this day and age, like a motherfucker. You know,
Yeah, it is.
shit. Most everybody, like 3/4 of the population at least.
Oh, dude, we are all enslaved to some extent. I mean, let's face it, man. We all have to pay taxes, right? We're slaves. It's just the way it is. But the main issue is what's worse now is the fact that people aren't aware of it. They're stuck in a prison cell and they're not even aware of the bars. They don't perceive that they are in an 8x8 fucking room. And it doesn't matter if you are a Christian, which is, the side of the cell that has the toilet, or the other side of the cell that has the window view. I mean, you might have a fucking window view, but it's still a fucking prison cell. You know what I mean? So we need to really wake up to that fact and start harnessing our will and potential towards not being governed. And that's another thing about Black Magick of Ahriman, man. It really breeds anarchy. It really does.
I mean, it's awesome
That's one of the things
to showcase, that we are sovereign individuals, and that we have our own identities as individuals, and that it should be celebrated. And I wanted to also, we got some people on the group chat here. James Pazook, what's up, man? And yeah, slaves to the almighty dollar. Absolutely. Mystic Mama says hello.
what's happening.
She's on too. Yeah, man. So we'll probably have a bunch of people jumping in here very soon.
Come into the room.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, the left-hand path is pro-life. And the problem is most of these religions, through their symbolism, they propagate death. And
yeah,
this reality needs to be experienced to its fullest. We need to be able to have the time to stop and smell the roses. You know what I mean?
Live in the moment, appreciate the moment, and be there in the moment, and not have your head somewhere fucking else like people do. Like they're always somewhere else because we have all this stimuli, TV, radio, this, that, and the other, and they can't, and the iPhones, like I saw this fucking family. It was like a mom and dad, son and daughter, probably like 10 or 11, at a beautiful park in Richmond, dude. Maymont Park is fucking unbelievable, right? All of them are walking around together at the park like this. And I'm like, look at this shit, dude. Totally disconnected, man. Like, what the fuck are you even doing at the park? And like, what the fuck, man? It was the craziest shit, dude. But that's like what we've come to, man.
It's crazy. And yeah, I mean, it really ruins the fucking point. It's like, why are people even doing this? It's okay, you're changing the scenery around you. Sure, but you can't even be aware of it because you're stuck in your fucking tablet or your phone. You know what I'm saying? It's pathetic. It's pathetic, man. The human mind. And I was talking to JS about this the other day, man. The human mind is really a microcosmic embodiment of the unlimited potential of the void. You know what I mean? And that potential has to be harnessed. And that's what Ahriman truly is, man. And I reiterate this so much because I know that this is how a lot of people need to learn through repetition. There are certain key points within the text that I have to keep bringing up to teach different lessons because it all comes back to certain key fucking elements of the truth, which is we are unlimited potential. And, it's very fucking pathetic when, okay, if we were to do scans of our brain waves that pretty much tell us we're only using a fraction of our brain at any one time. Now, it will change. The section of the brains will change, you know, in regard to which part you are using, according to what you are doing. But the truth is, man, through the rising of the Kunda force, the expanding of the Kunda force, what most people call Kundalini, activate the entire brain at once. And this will allow the unlimited potential of the void to begin expressing itself through the flesh. And that is truly the power of Black Magick of Ahriman. It's a lifetime of work if somebody wants to put that kind of time in.
Does that yoga, is that what kind of brings that out in a big way?
Oh, dude, it's one synergistic element within the current. The entire working praxis of Black Magick of Ahriman has this dynamic of synergy. All of the components work together to produce one result, and that result is becoming a constant state of personal evolution, moving towards fulfilling your ultimate potential in the flesh. Stasis is not acceptable to the person once the Kunda force rises. It's like instinctually, the primitive reptilian aspect of the brain comes to the forefront, bro. And this is the source of all of our primal instincts, survival instincts, but it is also the source of a lot of our sorcerer's power. So when you bring that to the forefront of the conscious mind, you can transmute those primitive forces, those primitive potentials, and refine them and utilize those powers to really move yourself forward in life. And people notice it in strange ways. Bro, I've got a specific student. I don't know if I have the right to mention his name, but I won't. But I looked at one of his posts today on Facebook, and I'm like, this dude's IQ has risen so fucking much since he started the Path of Smoke. It's fucking incredible. Now, granted, he started before the book was published. This was maybe a year ago, maybe going on a year and a half. I kind of took him under my wing. And the way he spoke was so eloquent and refined, and the wisdom that he dropped was just bam, right on point. And I'm like, this shit works.
The secret you just said is crazy, because I was going to ask you, like, what would the Kurtis Joseph of, you know, before this whole experience that you've had, like, what would that interview be like compared to, or podcast compared to this one? Like,
yeah,
how do you, like, how much, like, who were you then as opposed to who you are now? Like, you seem so deep and intellectual now. Is that how you, I guess you weren't like that necessarily before this?
No, I wasn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've always been different. So the average Joe would always see me as somebody of higher intellect. But the truth of the matter is, looking back, I was really just dropping the same old shit from a different angle. You know what I mean? And the intellectual understanding was definitely there. But the expansion of consciousness wasn't there. The experience of my potential was not there. Able to convey that with any efficiency whatsoever. And so, you know, a lot of people would look at me then and say, oh, it's just another practicing occultist. Like, people could tell I was a practicing occultist, but other than that, you know, I was still pretty much shackled, seeking liberation, but shackled. But the truth is, you know, I'm quoting some Greek philosopher. I don't know who. But the more I come to know, the more I realize I know nothing. This was a humbling experience. It was an honor to bring forth the Path of Smoke, man. And, you know, it really allows me to look at everybody as an equal, because we all have so much dormant potential. And dude, if we could awaken it within the collective, which is the goal of the Path of Smoke, it's going to be a different world.
That's
Live.
like 5D consciousness and like all that kind of shit like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you want to relate to it, that's what you want to call it. Sure, man. I mean, but it's all the same shit. We're just using different terminology. It really is. I mean, the words evil are used so much within my book. And what people need to understand is that this book is based on backward understanding. These beings are, according to lore, evil backwards is live.
Ah.
So unless you are evil, you're not living. You are existing. So that is why evil thought, evil word, and evil deed are so important. I mean, I put those three principles above all else, including devotion to the magic within this text.
Do you feel like that's part of like what you would call like your shadow self in a sense? Like everybody has their self and then their shadow self. And I feel like my shadow self, especially in the past few years, has become predominant over who JD Temple is or was. You know, like the shadow self is really in the forefront now. And that's what I feel is like the genuine part of me.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely call that the shadow self. The shadow self embraced, because people will always shun that aspect of self. But see, what you really come to understand is this duality doesn't exist. This shadow self and this higher self. They're really one and the same thing. You see, you cannot come to know your higher self, face the shadow self. Evil thought, evil word, and evil deed, it does two things. Let me define these things very fast. Evil thought, on the surface, is simply being able to think outside of the box and investigate through the process of individuation. You know what I mean? Never accepting anything and getting spoon-fed facts.
Right.
Evil word is utilizing speech carefully, not frivolously. When you walk in the park, you can hear so much frivolous conversation going on. At work, people hear so much frivolous conversation that they lose the fact and the truth that words are very fucking powerful in molding your reality. Evil deed is simply, it's not, first of all, committing crimes against humanity, and it is acting within the world to achieve what you want. See, these things allow the true self to live and to begin expressing itself through the flesh outside of the system of slavery. You know? So, but most importantly, man, these three principles guarantee success in your magic. Not that magic is ever a guarantee. Y'all fucking fail. When you can harness your thoughts, words, and deeds and your objective, on top of harnessing the language of ritual on this corporeal realm of existence, it greatly multiplies your chance for success. And these things are never directly taught in these books that can be bought in mainstream bookstores like Barnes and Noble. You know, people might talk about it a little bit, but it's never directly taught. The three evil principles not only teach it, but as the chief cornerstone and the foundation of the current it ensures that it is being applied. It isn't just taught theoretically. It's necessary to apply, because if you don't apply it, these dark forces can become toxic. The Kunda force can become toxic and wreak havoc. Trust me, I know from experience. You know,
and it does seem a lot like that it is very serpent-like in that you're using your cunning and you're being more active than reactive, and you're waiting for your opportunities. You're thinking about what you're going to say before you say it. You're planning out your steps ahead of time and not just haphazardly doing this or that. It's all by design with a goal in mind, and you're not just wasting your time and wasting your life with bullshit like most everybody else is.
that's right, man. I mean, you pretty much offered a very brief and powerful summary. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, because you are capitalizing on the potential of the eternal moment of counter creation. And we are counter creators. The Zanda are the apostles of Ahriman, are counter creators. You know, we understand that life is handing us lemons, so we go ahead and make the fucking lemonade. You know, and it's an important part of becoming, man. Without those three evil principles, the current is a moot point. And, you know, there's certain people that I do teach one-on-one, and this is the first thing I go over. And the truth of the matter is, the Zarathustrians, the light side of this whole entire thing, they also put good thought, good word, and good deed above all else, including their religious devotion. They call it social duty and social obligation. They put that above all else. Now, at face value, that seems great. You would see that almost like fucking philanthropy. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at what they define good thought, good word, and good deed as, you come to see that it's only good if it aligns with the religious doctrine. Within the path of smoke, bro, your virtues are not dictated by religious doctrine. Your virtues become more genuine because they come from the deepest parts of the most genuine aspects of self. The good that you do is greater because you are not being good to others simply because a religion tells you to do so. You are more genuine. You bless people as a living God simply because you fucking can. And you curse people as a living God because they cross boundaries they shouldn't have crossed. And through expanding consciousness, we see the value of baneful magic, man. Because some people, everybody, I can safely say that we cross paths with everybody for a reason.
I believe that too. I believe that too.
And these dark gods will place people on your path to deal with in baneful ways in order to help them evolve.
Ooh, damn. Yeah, that is powerful, man.
It's backward understanding.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It is. Because I mean, a lot of people, like including myself, I really thought that I would never ever do that no matter what, you know. But and having the understanding that this is my life and that I have to think of myself first and not just do good for others because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what's expected of me. You know, if I want to do it, then great. But I'm not going to put that before I'm going to put before myself. I need to think of myself first before I go and do all this other shit that's really not from my heart.
Right. Right. I mean, if the heart energy isn't there, bro, doing good is a moot point. It's just a fucking part of daily routine. And the vibrational frequency of those actions are pointless. You know, like people will look at me like I'm crazy because I really I don't ever tell my children to apologize unless they are actually sorry. You know, it's something that I refuse to do. I'm not going to apologize unless I feel like I am truly sorry. There are times that I am, but I'm not going to fucking say I'm sorry because it's the social norm. If somebody is a genuine asshole and they need dealt with, I have no problem putting them in their fucking place. You know, and I said this to somebody the other day, man, because they were fucking ragging on me about some stupid shit. And I said, you know, the ascended ones would say that I should simply observe you as a reflection of self. And you definitely are a reflection of myself. But you are one of those aspects that I see in the mirror that I do not like. And so I'm going to deal with you accordingly. And then I just went on this fucking rant, dude, and fucking essentially told him to hang himself while dropping the deepest fucking wisdom I could. And everybody's like, what the fuck? And this dude literally liked the comments and just didn't say anything else. That's evil speech.
He was probably like, the fuck, dude. like, what can I say? You know, shit.
Yeah,
no
I mean,
for that, you know.
It's practical. People see the shit, you know, that we're doing as mysticism, like it has no practical value. But the three evil principles make the philosophy, the epistemology of the path of smoke practical as fuck. Because you can be real, you can be genuine, and through that process, you can help these assholes evolve. And this is what ignites the black flame within the collective consciousness. You know what I mean? And baneful magic is applied for the same reason.
Because that just uplifts everybody.
Yeah.
I said it makes sense now because, like what you're saying, if you uplift those stupid assholes, it's like really kind of bringing everybody up. So it's like it's a win-win for everybody.
Right. It is, man.
That is fucking cool as shit.
That
really is, man. That really is. Awesome.
And you know, I find it interesting too because through the text, I believe I use the word ascent a lot. But this current, man, it keeps evolving. It has evolved so much, even since The Path of Smoke was published through Magick Of Ahriman. And it always will. It will continue to grow and become more refined. But one of the ways it has refined itself is now I'm not so much worried about ascent, because ascent falls in line with this illusion of linear time. And the universe is not ascending. The universe is expanding.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we really want to connect with the natural realm and our surroundings, will not be limited to the elements upon the earth. We need to connect to the universe. And we do that through focusing on the expansion of consciousness so that we can perceive the totality. You know what I'm saying?
Sarah was talking about that, and I think, you know, because he read that tome and he came to the understanding, and he talked about that, and that was really the first time I had ever looked at it from that point of view. And instead of it being like climbing a ladder, you know, really it is an expansion, you know, like a never-ending expansion, and that fucking makes total sense.
Fuck yeah, man. And it's such a powerful thing because you start to really connect to others through this process of expanding consciousness. Your sphere of influence starts to expand. Your mental capabilities start to expand. You start to bridge the gap between magic and science. And you can actually come to a greater understanding of these operations of evil. Like, for instance, we all know that there are methods of mental control that exist within occult practice. And we can say that that is evil, right? Because we are essentially affecting that person's free will.
Mm-hmm.
But if we are all emanations of unlimited possibility, and you and I do not exist, there is the only one consciousness experiencing itself through different vehicles as reflections of itself, then really what you are doing is you are reconnecting with a part of that totality and creating harmony within that relationship so that everybody fucking wins.
Damn, that is a cool ass way of looking at it, dude.
That's not evil, dude.
Yeah,
That is acting.
That's that reverse thinking. I love that shit, man.
Yeah, that's acting out of love.
Oh my gosh, dude, I love it, man. I love it. I really do, man. I am digging that shit.
There's two core emotions, man, and this is something that I've learned through this current. There is love and there is fear. If you step into this current and you remain in fear, because I'm not gonna lie, dude, these forces will make themselves objectively known pretty fast. It happens pretty fast. For some, it's quicker than others, and you can pretty much guarantee if you step upon the path of smoke, you're going to be terrified. But when you get beyond that fear, you're in the good, because usually you're going to start to act out of love. Even your baneful magic, bro, you're doing it to either better the person, to teach them a lesson that they need to evolve, or you're benefiting the world by removing them.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Even death magic, man. You know, there's only a certain kind of person that the Zonda is going to curse. And let's face it, there are some curse happy people out there. But those kinds of people too will get dealt with in the grand scheme of things. You know, and that's really what the path of smoke enables us to perceive, is the grand scheme of things, the larger picture.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I wasn't able to read the entire tome in its totality before talking to you about this, because it really, I feel so much more open to it now, and like just and genuinely like excited, man, about it. Like I'm really feeling like I'm resonating with it in like much more of a profound way than I would have ever imagined. Like it feels right for me to, you know, like I really want to go down that path, man, and do that path working. I really do. Like it's that's gonna be really something, man. I'm excited about that shit.
Dude, it is so fucking exciting. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was just as terrified, like, because a lot of times I thought, like, in some ways, through the work of this tome, I was breaking my own code of ethics, right? But then through backward understanding and coming to these kinds of realizations, dude, it was like, as dark as this fucking current is, what it's actually doing is building my body of light so that I can more effectively compel or cast the shadows in the direction that could benefit everybody, including myself. You know, and that's really what the Ahrimanian impulse is. That's what the emanations of the Black Sun Angramenu are. They are shadows that exist within self, first and foremost. They are aspects of our own unlimited potential that we must learn to transmute and use according to our own divine will. And we can see that evil can definitely, when you become a living God and you see things from this expanded perception, you understand that evil doesn't exist. This baneful magic isn't baneful at all. I'm helping this person evolve.
And it seems like too, it wasn't a matter of you breaking your own moral ethics. You were breaking society's moral ethics that have been imposed upon you and all of us, really.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it was part of the initiation process, you know, because a lot of times breaking these kinds of taboos was a part of the fear. Most growth happened through applying the three evil principles, and really coming to terms with the fact that I had to get outside of my comfort zone by experiencing the dark night of the soul. That was the only way I was going to break out of the mold. And, you know, as a result, this tome was released. I mean, if you ask Timothy or EA, they will tell you, dude, and this is honest to God's truth. When I say God's, I mean plural. Dark gods. This is the honest to God's truth. They will tell you, I am the most difficult Become a Living God author that will ever be on their roster. You know what I mean?
Through some shit.
Yeah, man, because I had to put it out right. You know what I mean? I really wasn't down with releasing it as it was in that moment if it didn't feel right inside, you know? I mean, let's face it, when you put in 5 years of work to write a book, another month to you is just a breath of fresh air.
Right.
You know, and it's a moment in time. And I felt that these ancient dark gods deserved it. I mean, because it was an act of devotion to this current, because as dark as it is, there's this inherent beauty that cannot be denied. When you read this text cover to cover, I mean, I include a lot of my personal experiences. I also include a lot of the information that these spirits pointed me to in regard to the political corruption of the religious movements. You know, there's a lot in that book. It is very comprehensive, but it all threads itself together in such a beautiful way. And at the end of it, you take that deep breath. It's like, you know, after watching a great horror movie that has been released nowadays, because I swear they quit making them in the 80s. You know, you take that deep breath at the end of it and you're like, fuck, that was refreshing.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you mean.
No.
I wanted to say too, my friend Joseph Nunn from Behemoth X Productions is saying, "What's up, man?" And he's talking about facing your fears so we can grow. And you know, he's down with it, man. And
yeah, Joseph Nunn's
Violet's
awesome.
here too. What's up, Violet?
Joseph's he's the best, man. He's really willing to help out anybody.
He is,
He's
man.
a good dude.
Yes, he is, man. I'm so glad to have met him, and he did an awesome thing for me that like touched my heart so much. And I'm gonna get that video fixed too. I haven't had a chance yet, but I'm gonna try to do it tonight, brother. And thank you so much for that. Like, really, man, I'm still like blown away. Really. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I wish you could see the damn chat. I wish there was a way that you could see it too, but I don't guess that there is. I don't think. That would be cool if you could. So I'm trying to fill you in, you know, as it when I get a chance to.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Up. You do, man.
Yeah.
Because I probably know a lot of people.
Excited about this current, man. How often do you practice this Kunda yoga? Is this something that you do like on a regular basis, like every day, or is this like 2 or 3 times a week, or how does that work?
It's really up to the individual, man. It's like anything else, you know. The more time you invest into it, the more intense the fruits of your labor are going to be. But okay, let's back step for a second. We have to understand that, of course, these demonic entities within this tome originate within the Vedic traditions. These are they're demonized Vedic gods.
Yep.
The gods of the Hindu faith. And so you will find that this yogic concept of Kunda yoga is also a foundational aspect of the current. That makes sense, right? But it harnesses the three yogic sciences of mantra, mandala, and asana. The mandala is the sigil of a specific deed that you are trying to awaken within the subtle energy bodies of the self. Okay, you'll utilize the sigil of a deed as a mandala.
I didn't realize that's what a mandala really was. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're essentially sigils that represent specific frequencies. Now, the Vedic mandalas are very complex. Like you could almost see the flower of life as a mandala, but yeah, mandalas are beautiful. But in this case, within this current, we utilize the sigil of a specific deed. The mantra is the name of the deed, the name of the demon. And all of the asanas are done from, for the most part, a seated position. So they are yogic postures which anyone can perform. And there's 7 of them listed, and each one of them stimulates one of the chakra centers. Specific deed or force, this single aspect of potential that is dormant within, can move through all 7 layers of consciousness. Okay, this is how you awaken these forces within the self. That essentially is embodying one specific ray of the black sun. And then there is also externalizing the rays of the black sun. And that really sets the stage for later alchemical rites of evocation. Because evocation on this path, it's not really about summoning a genie to do your will. It's very wise to communicate with these specific forces to become more aware of the working mechanics of their specific powers, how they can be applied in a realistic way upon this physical realm of existence. Because I haven't found this to be true, but according to lore, they will do exactly the opposite that you tell them to do, right? There have been times, though, I have evoked them to perform specific tasks, and they've done it. I think that's a matter of developing a true working relationship with them. But, you know, back to the Kunda yoga. These 3 yogic sciences, when brought together, help you to reunite the isolated colors of the light spectrum. Okay, I talk about that within the shadow of Bundaya Shin, how essentially the god of false light, Ahura Mazda, extracted unlimited potential from the void, a certain amount of it, 4% of the totality of potential, because that's really all physical matter is. That's 4% of all that is, and that's science.
Damn.
That's a science model. You know what I'm saying? That's science. 4% of 100% of all reality is physical matter. But it awakens that specific force within so that you can become a more effective conduit for its power. But most importantly, it takes that one aspect of darkness, blackness, and it helps to further merge the isolated colors of the false light spectrum, which is the fact that physical reality is all that is, because that's not what science says. And what color do you get when you merge all colors of the light spectrum?
Is it black or right? Is it black or is it white?
Black. It's black.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's crazy, man.
So what we have to understand, and this is again why I don't believe in ascent, and this is where how yoga is taught in the West. They teach it like the Kundalini system and the chakra system are mutually dependent, and they're not. In fact, they're mutually exclusive. When you fuel the chakra system with the Kundalini or the Kunda force, you are actually strengthening the bars of the prison, because these are aspects of human consciousness which have been torn from each other. They all have to be here for us to exist, right? But this demiurgic impulse, Ahura Mazda, the god of false light, the god of the sun, which puts off these isolated colors of the light spectrum, he imprisons us by creating us in a way that, though the totality of consciousness is there, it's isolated, it's broken apart.
I see what you mean.
Various ways.
He's taking
Right.
the black and breaking it back up into the separate colors to what it shouldn't be that way.
Right. And so the Kunda yoga is designed to merge those layers of consciousness
and make it one big powerful unit.
Right.
And
that moves beyond the chakra system.
Will this Kunda yoga, like if you do it right, will it definitely give you a true Kundalini awakening?
It will give you a true awakening. Yes. It will definitely in a progressive fashion. I don't want to use the term Kundalini awakening because people attribute that to a lot of danger. You'll hear a lot of people say that Kundalini and the raising of that power is very dangerous if you're not prepared for it.
I've heard that.
The interesting part about Kunda yoga, right, is you're only harnessing one specific aspect of potential within the Kunda force, one specific emanation of this blackened fire, this Kunda force at a time. So it's much safer. There's a method to the madness.
So you take it step by step, and then you're kind of putting together you're putting together Voltron, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as a metaphor, and it does make sense. Yeah, man. Because Kundalini as a whole it's like a complete huge rush of fucking power.
Oh.
But through harnessing the divs, through the science of mantra, mandala, and asana, one at a time, you definitely buffer the danger. It's like a built-in fucking insurance policy, man. And you work it in a progressive fashion. You know what I'm saying? And you can awaken a specific ray of the black sun within that you find to be interesting. You know, like, let's say you want to develop evil mind or backward understanding. Well, you will utilize Akomana in your Kunda yoga practice.
And you could start there if you wanted to. You wouldn't have to start like at the bottom or the top. You could start in the middle if you want to, that particular aspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. It's all about what power you want to develop and awaken within. And that's fucking sweet.
It is, man. It is. It's not you're going by your own rules in a sense.
Yeah. Your own interests, your own rules, you're in charge. You just follow the gut instinct of the God self. And that's one of
them. In the tome, each of these mandalas are in there?
Oh yeah, all the sigils are there. They're all there.
Awesome.
And the work is definitely expanding, because in future works I'm going to start to show people how they can utilize the seals of Arizira to activate the lower chakras from the root downward. And that's a little bit more in depth. You have to be very careful fucking with those chakras.
I'm sure those are some that you aren't even aware of that they have control over or anything.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I mean, these are the chakras. When you have psychopaths and serial killers, that's because those chakras are activated and other ones up top are closed off.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah.
So you do have
I
to.
mean, that's just,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. So
Damn.
there's an alchemical science to it. Really, I'm kind of scared to move forward with that work because, you know, I always have to go through hell on earth so that I can put the necessary uh, teaching in place in a way that is safe and productive for the masses. So, you know, yeah, when I do release that, you know, I can rest assured that, and you can rest assured that it'll be safe for people to do. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the truth of the matter. These psychopaths, these serial killers, and their lower chakras are very active. And that's what causes them to act in animalistic ways that are beyond human understanding. And these are important parts of human consciousness that need to be embraced, but at the same time, they need to be awakened carefully, and there has to be an objective behind it. You know what I mean? So
That is profoundly interesting, man. Like I have never heard anything from a point of view like that, and that it makes sense. And it does seem like it would be scary. You know, if you weren't ready for that, it would be controlling you, and you not controlling it, and who knows what the fuck. You know, if you're not prepared yourself in the right way.
right, right. Especially when you're starting to use, you know, the realms of fucking hell.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
it's gonna be an experience for sure.
Is that something that you're already working on now, or are you just kind of like getting
Well,
an outline of what's gonna be entailed and involved in the next tome, or what?
I've got a lot of work lined up right now. You see, I don't want to be like Christopher Reeve, where he does so good in Superman that he can't get any other fucking roles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be known as the Ahriman guy. But you see, these spirits, dude, they never shut up. A lot of times, most of this work came through channeling. I'd be at the line in the grocery store, and all of a sudden, I'd get flooded with fucking information. And it got to be, you know, a point where I pretty much had to carry a notebook with me at all fucking times. I'd be really pissed when I was like working a job and I'm sitting here at a fucking line where I have to keep my hands moving to fucking assemble something and I couldn't write. But yeah, right now it's just theory. It's a process that I'm theoretically lining up, putting the ducks in the row so that I can approach it logically through the guidance of the spirits. Because if I get myself in the way, that's when I'm going to fuck up. And that was the case all the time, man. You know, I would try to, while I was writing this book, I'd try to like apply shit that I've learned in magical lodges, you know, left-hand path, ceremonial magic, and it would fuck me up, man, when I tried to apply my own wisdom. And looking back, I'm kind of glad because now what has been brought forth is the work of these ancient gods. When you read the text in its totality, man, you're just going to know that. Like a human being can't make this shit up if they tried. They couldn't. They couldn't make it up.
Like you had to put ego aside and just be an open conduit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like automatic writing on.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
A lot of it was like automatic writing. I mean, the only difference was I was able to step back and look at it consciously and doubt it. And that's what happened throughout the whole process, dude.
Oh,
I received this. I'd get these just ridiculous fucking points that these gods were trying to make and these ridiculous lessons that they were trying to teach me, right? And I'd be like, man, whatever. This is ridiculous. What do you mean fucking eat the chakra? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, and then an external source of information would just fall in front of my fucking face out of nowhere.
Like here,
And validating. And that was fucking cool. You know what I mean? Because it just helps to increase my faith in self and my ability to really listen to these beings. And it's kind of like a curse, man, because I'm one of those kinds of guys that if I look at a sigil, that's it. I don't need to evolve. Like, dude, I could go. Like, if I were to read,
I know exactly what you mean, dude. I do. Believe me, I do.
Like, let me just pick a grimoire that I haven't read. Like, for instance, let's say I read a Zenith Mason, Clipothic Meditations. And let's pretend like there's a series of sigils in there, okay? I could sit down and read this book, and as I look at the sigils, the spirit is going to start communicating with me. And, like, what's the use of evoking? You know what I mean? But it gets to be a pain in the ass because none of your thoughts are always yours. It's kind of hard to differentiate between the two.
I know what you mean, like, because you don't have to go through ritual anymore at all. You can just tap in just like that. Like it's you are magic, basically. You know, it's like I've gotten to that point with a lot of my shit too. It's like I don't have to go through A, B, C, and D and this and that and all that. I can just, it's just there, man, and it just goes. You know, and I can't even explain it a lot of times. You know, it's like it's fucking crazy, man. It's almost like it's out of my control, in a way.
Definitely, man. And you know, it's funny because, you know, just the other day, I manifested a pretty large sum of money, dude, out of nowhere.
Hell yeah.
I mean, dude just sent me a screenshot of this amount of money that he sent me, and I'm like, because I panic. If I don't have enough money, dude, I panic because I take care of kids and, you know.
Oh yeah, man.
Important for survival, man. And so I really want to be able to not have to always be within the circle to communicate with spirits. And so when you can get to that level of harnessing your will to simply shift reality through your thoughts, words, and deeds, you're at a good spot, because then you can also help others the same way. And you can focus more on mundane footwork that's going to change the world. You know, the magic is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm always going to fall in love with the next magical current, or I'm always going to be in love with getting in the circle and doing magic. And I'm always going to do it to a certain extent because you do love it so much that you can't just.
But would you have to? No, you know, you wouldn't have to. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like it's the process is it's a beautiful thing, and it's part of who and what you are, you know, but you don't need it or have to rely on it, but it is awesome to be a part of it and to just embrace and be at one with everything that it is.
Yeah. And that's right. And this is honestly where a lot of the left-hand path doctrines today get it wrong, man. Because they believe they need to isolate their consciousness from the rest of the reality in order to essentially build their own fucking universe. But what they don't understand is that actually embodies the demiurgic impulse, because they are embodying and further propagating the tale of the Tower of Babel, where God is separating the people. And this is what this tale really embodies metaphorically. Actually separated consciousness so that we would be unaware of the fact that we're all in this together. And if we would join back together, this world would be a different place. So
No doubt.
true left-hand path philosophy accepts the singularity, because within the singularity, the duality of good and evil do not exist.
Yeah, they are pushing for that singularity, it seems like.
Yeah,
You know, for
yeah,
sure, man. And I wanted to mention real quick, B.W. Romano from Black Magic Exposed has just jumped on and he said, I don't know how long you guys have been going for, but I've only been listening for a bit and this is fucking great. Yeah, bro. Hell yeah.
but yeah, man. So, you know, the key is really to accept the singularity, because all left-hand path magicians really bitch about the duality, but yet they're wanting to isolate their consciousness, and they don't understand that that's really counterproductive, especially when you're talking about making magic work. I mean, let's look at it this way. When you're stuck in your own head and you're trying to manifest something from your own potential, the odds of being successful are slim to none. But when you can borrow from the totality, when you can tap into the energy of the person that has this wealth,
Yeah.
you can borrow from that energy to bring it into your life. You know what I mean?
It's like a Wi-Fi signal versus like a freaking like, you know, cable connection, you know, like you can freaking just get a few bars or you can get fucking 10 bars, man, you know?
Right.
And of course you want 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, that makes a lot of sense, man. You know, you're tapping in. It's like you're making this bigger fucking antenna, you know, to where you're gonna just receive so much more, like or like you're making your funnel bigger, you know, and wider.
Yeah, dude.
It's awesome, dude. That's an awesome concept. Really, like it makes so much sense too. Like, and that's exciting too because I think that that will help a lot of people to see that it's not necessarily all about their potential and how far that they can go, and that they're going to be limited to that. That they can tap into that collective and become bigger and greater than they ever imagined they could be.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fucking profound, man.
And it's really about pushing the limits of the totality. And this is why this tome is just as much about world alchemy as it is about the alchemical transmutation of the person through individuation. I mean, we look at these as polar opposites. You can either transform self or transform the world, transform within, transform without. But when you come to the realization and the perception of the singularity, you know that strengthening yourself is also strengthening all outside of self, because you're essentially lifting the burden of others having to empower you and teach you and show you the way. And we all know how ego gets in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, when you are teaching and helping others, and when you are working to change the fucking world through sorcery, you are creating a better life for yourself as well. These two things are not mutually exclusive, they are mutually dependent. Self-service is just as important as service to others. And in all reality, it's one and the same. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
that's a great way of looking at it, man. I mean, your work in this tome is like so original and so it's so much more than what I realized it was at like face value. I mean, that chapter was great and it scared me.
right.
Like this, it's so much more than I thought that it was. I mean, it is fucking amazing, dude. Really, man. Like my eyes are open now like a motherfucker, you know?
Why I enjoy the conversation, because, you know, the tome quite honestly was pretty much cut in half. There was so much more, dude. There was a chunk that was included in a digital ebook called The Prayers of Ahriman, and it deals more with the dark stayot, the words of power, the evil speech. But there was a lot in there I pretty much had to take out because, well, first of all, the magical rites were so private, and there was a lot of personal influence in a lot of it. And I wanted this book to really just reflect the work of these specific spirits and their natures. But through conversating like we are now, some of the more subtle nuances of the path can be revealed in an organic and authentic way. Because these gods are very hard to understand, nobody is going to see at face value how the absolute origin of evil can help enrich their lives. And unfortunately, that was the focus of this main book: present these beings as they are. But now we can, through conversation, pretty much reveal the subtle nuances and the logic behind it all. Because it's really going to take the person experiencing this stuff to really help them to understand it and perceive it for what it is. Even now, they're only getting an intellectual understanding. When you actually jump in to this abysmal fucking current, which is so comprehensive and vast, the momentum of personal evolution just gains a critical mass, and it cannot be stopped.
I can imagine the power that just builds within you. It like almost makes you would like want to burst.
Yeah. I mean, it's a horse's hair to walk, though, man, because a lot of times it will become an obsession. You know what I mean? You will spend so much time with this stuff, and you gotta balance it out. I gotta be honest, that's where I fall.
Like a motherfucker all the time.
I fall short a lot because I'm always trying to expand it and better understand it myself. And this is what people need to understand, dude. A lot of this just came through sitting down with pen and paper, reciting the name of the demon, making substantial contact, and writing. So I have to go back and look at things and try to assimilate it and understand it. It's not like I wrote this book, This part of my subconscious mind did, that we call Ahriman. Some will call it the power. Yeah, some will call it the power of the magical imagination. EA talks about that a lot and how important that is. The imagination is the very gateway between who the person is now, and this gateway leads to who they want to become. And when you walk through that gate, this physical veil that we call reality disappears, man. And that's where they are, waiting. It's never as complex as having to cast a circle and recite an hour of fucking dark stayota. These are methods that the person needs to harness in order to get to the point to where they can say, Akomana, shut everything else off and perceive the spirit. It's that simple. This work is so much more refined. A lot of the later work is going to cover more of the sorceress aspects, the path of Dumar, which is one of the two twin serpents.
Ah, okay.
And then there is also the path of Dihak, which is more about alchemy. Because what happens when you eat the god of false light, dude? What then? Because this book is also about that. It's the very first grimoire in existence that seeks to devour the god of false light at its origin, being a Hira Mazda. This is spiritual warfare. And all of the alchemical rites in it lead to that.
So what if you were to do that and you didn't have like yin and yang, basically, what would you become?
Okay. This is interesting. People are going to be like, what the fuck? This is deep.
And Joseph Nunn is saying, like, you know, he said Kurtis is making very good points. Mystic Mama's loving it too, man. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Now, I said that Ahriman and all of his emanations are first and foremost aspects of dormant potential that dwell within self, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ahriman is also the dormant potential which flows through all things. He is connected to dark matter. The gods of false light, then, in theory, could be that which are energy blockages that keep you limited to the limits of this false light spectrum. And they could also be aspects of the self that prevent the expansion of consciousness.
So they're just total limits.
Right. The limitations of these separate chakras and the isolated aspects of consciousness. So if we can alchemically evoke and extract, well, let me also say this. If Ahura Mazda is the sun, and he is responsible for all of the chemical processes upon the earth that keep this physical world here, then Ahriman, the black sun, would be responsible for the alchemical changes that occur. Okay, that's another aspect that is important to understand. So when we awaken these forces, we become a microcosmic emanation of this black sun, which is essentially the potential of the void. And this black sun, instead of emanating light, it pulls light inward. It pulls in this false light, right? So that you become the totality of all of these isolated color spectrums. Now, at the same time, when we are going to war with these angels or these Amesha Spentas and the god of the false light spectrum, we are essentially externalizing the limits of this isolated color spectrum and confront them and destroy them and return them to the unlimited potential of the void.
Like one by one type of thing, destroying them one by one.
Yeah, it's an alchemical path working at the end of the book. And if you're not ready for it, it's dangerous. I mean, I've had my ass handed to me, man. And, yeah.
Oh, shit.
That magic will manifest faster than anything if you fuck it up. But, you know, so that's interesting to think about.
You mean in negative ways, you're saying? If you fuck it up, like it's going to manifest quickly in a bad way to be like, you fucked up, dude.
Yeah, man, because like, let's take, for instance, Vohumano. Vohumano is good thought, to where Akomana is evil thought or evil mind. Vohumano is good mind. Now, what's interesting to note is that Vohumana or Vohumano is associated with the lower chakra, the sexual center. Now, ain't that a motherfucker? Does that even make sense? That good mind has control over the sexual center within the human body. But this is a reflection of how these religious cages keep us trapped into these carnal mentalities, which we all know that sex is a fucking great thing. It's also a fucking very potent platform through which powerful magic can be performed.
I love it.
Yeah, you are literally trapping your consciousness there, though, your mind. So that's not cool. So through going to war with these forces, you are externalizing and putting a face on these limitations so that you can devour them. And this isn't so much, I mentioned this in a slideshow presentation. I don't know if it was released yet or not. I don't know what has been released and what hasn't, but I essentially say that this isn't really about annihilation of divine power. It is about consolidation. Okay, so you become the yin and yang.
And as
You
far as
become,
sex goes, are you saying that basically like that whenever you are in that act that it should be used for a purpose, like an alchemical purpose or a magical purpose, and not just haphazardly, you're not just haphazardly releasing that energy for no good reason type of thing?
no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the Zarathustrian idea of associated with these chakras literally place highest consciousness at the sexual center. So that keeps your potential down here and it keeps
Right.
you from experiencing higher consciousness or expanded consciousness.
I've got you. I got
It's
you.
really that simple. There's nothing wrong with having sex for enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, the Ahrimanian current is not about limiting the person at all from enjoying the life experience in any way, shape, or form. But you just have to simply do it responsibly so that you don't suffer bad consequences. But that's just common sense. Unfortunately, that's not that common anymore. Sometimes I don't even
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
but I'm just being honest here, laying all the cards out on the table.
Hey, that's what we like, man. That's what this is all about. Anything goes, man. Nothing taboo. However you want to deliver it, that's how we all love it.
Yeah, man. So it's very interesting because we have to remember that even though these things are Ahriman is he also resides externally. He is associated with dark matter. Dark matter is the artistic medium of the magician or the sorcerer. Ahura Mazda, the god of false light, also exists within through the colors of the false light spectrum as conveyed through the chakra system. He also exists outward through the limits of this corporeal plane of existence. So it is not like you are not actually going to war with beings that exist outside of self, because you are also doing that. The main reason is because you have to remember these are egregores that have been fed for thousands of years. I mean, Zarathustrians still do exist today, and they still do practice. And these spirits are batteries. They are batteries of invested belief. So they are very potent. You are handling and dealing with very powerful ancient gods. Just because they are gods of false light does not mean that once you join the war of the gods as a god, guide you and deal with you accordingly.
Right. Yeah, yeah. They'll give you a run for your money if you're not fully prepared and really being that calculated, cunning type of God that you should be.
Oh yeah, and it happens on this corporeal realm. It's not like an astral battle where you're necessarily pulling out astral swords and doing anything like that. What you're actually doing is you are traveling to their realm and performing an exercise within the text called peering into Drugaskan. And within this exercise, you are taught to essentially observe eternal darkness with your eyes open. You are taught to deconstruct reality and tear down this veil of illusion so that you can become a receiver for spiritual data. And this exercise develops the psychic faculties to perceive those spirits that we are conjuring. But what you do through these rites of spiritual warfare is you do that. You go to these astral realms and you perform that to essentially devour the limitation of that being's realm of existence and what that specific angel rules over. If you don't succeed in doing that, what occurs is that area of your life will immediately go to shit.
Does that corresponds with a particular chakra too? Because I remember reading in a chat or so one time, like, you know, I don't know, a year ago or something, and I saw that you had read that like our chakra system should be torn out of our bodies and like done away with. And I, you know, at the time, I didn't understand that. I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? But it makes like a lot of sense now, you know, like now that I understand it from this point of view, like it makes a lot of sense. It really.
Someone watched an interview. I think her name was Ashtara Star Goddess or something like that. But she did a video in response to an interview that I did with EA, a podcast I did with EA last year. And she essentially said the same thing, I believe, about, you know, tearing out the chakra system. And if she didn't, a lot of people are. In this case, we're not tearing out the chakra system. We are just simply uniting the color spectrum.
Putting it together, not totally removing it. Okay. Gotcha.
Right. So, because you got to think, man, these energy centers are aspects of our own consciousness. We can't just necessarily get rid of them. What we have to do is remove the limitations of them, which is the isolated aspect of the false light, being the individual colors. Each color rules over a specific magical correspondence. Each color also rules over specific aspects of our lives, specific organs within the body, right? And so when these chakras are isolated, what happens is specific ones start to work more efficiently than others.
Exactly.
This can cause disease.
Yep.
And this can cause problems in specific areas of your life. But when these chakras are united and they become black, because you have filled yourself with this eternal darkness, which is the unlimited potential of the void, things start to fall into place a little bit better. And, you know, you really start to improve in many ways because you are uniting these isolated aspects of consciousness.
It's just like the concept of like, you know, we're more powerful together as a team than we are separately, you know, like totally.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you'll talk to Kundalini gurus in the West, man. And they'll talk about, you know, activating the third eye. The crown is the gateway to enlightenment type shit, right? But this is an illusion because really all you are doing is you are moving your consciousness to a different part of the jail cell, if that makes sense.
Right. It still has a ceiling to some degree.
Right. And you're still trapped within the limits of that consciousness.
Because you're still trying to go up instead of out.
Yeah.
Breaking out of the cell instead of just going up to the next level of the cell where it's still bullshit, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You want to break out. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Putting your kunda force or raising the kundalini to the third eye or to the crown opening, you know, it creates an illusion of enlightenment. And that's really one of the dangers of traditional kundalini yoga. And that's why a lot of people will tell you it's dangerous, because you get this delusion of enlightenment. What you have to do is unite them. And And when you unite the colors of the false light spectrum, you get black. Black absorbs and therefore contains all colors of the light spectrum.
What can you compare the feeling to? Is there anything that you can kind of somewhat compare it to in life, that what that experience, what that power feels like?
There's, first of all, at the most basic level, you don't feel the Kunda force, specifically in the chakras. Once these colors are united, this middle pillar starts to span outward. And this is where the blackened fire of Zohak starts to fill the aura. And it expands your sphere of influence. But it would be akin to looking at the trunk of a tree, only being able to see that, and then moving to the top of the tree and seeing how the branches reach outward. The branches always reach outward towards unlimited directions, every fucking angle they possibly can, right? And this is what is important to perceive, because the traditional Zarathustrians, there was a sect that kind of broke off. They were called the Zervanites. They were Zervanite Zarathustrians, and they felt that there was a god that was above Ahura Mazda and Ahriman. And this god represented time. His name was Zervan. Look at the trunk of the tree as Zervan. This linear, here is past, present, future. You look at the fruit of the tree, the branches, the leaves, the twigs that are extending from the branches in every fucking direction of the life experience of the Zanda. So you imagine yourself at the center of all this. And if you have this linear understanding of time, this is very hard to do. But this is really very important for sorcery, because what we are actually doing is we are reaching out through one of these branches and pulling one aspect of unlimited possibility upon the linear timeline and the illusion of it to create the life that we seek to mold.
That's awesome. It's like a magnet almost, just like pulling it in, and like here and here and here from everywhere.
Well, I like to utilize the term within the text, the black soul, and I spell it S-O-L, the blackened soul, because, this is the sun, and we have souls, and I make it akin to a nucleus. We are the nucleus of this cell, the life experience, the cage, right? But if all we are aware of is the nucleus and the limits of it, which is linear time, physical reality, we're not going to get anywhere as sorcerers.
Right.
We need to look at
limited. Yeah.
We need to look at the outer part of the cell, which is spherical, and it's fluid. It is the abyss. It's unlimited possibility, and it's like a microcosmic universe. And from this nucleus, we just simply reach out and we pull something that we want within the limitations of this corporeal experience. It's very hard to put it into words in regard to something that we experience every day. But at the same time, it's a good analogy to my specific worldview and understanding of it, through metaphor.
I mean, you can imagine how people that are not awakened at all would look at this and be like, what the fuck? I'm just living life. I'm just a victim of circumstance because that's just how it is. You know, I'm just going through these motions. I'm doing my routine, working, watch TV, sleep, work, watch TV, sleep. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know, pulling in this, pulling in that, creating this, creating that. Like, that's insane, you know? But to me and you, like, that's, their shit is insane.
Yeah, it is. Like me and Megan together, man, honestly, we've built the perfect fucking life.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I'm really fucking grateful for everything because, you know, I am so lucky. I will oftentimes bitch, but in all actuality, dude, my life is fucking perfect.
That's
You know, I
awesome.
might not have as much time as I want to devote to this stuff, but you know, I get to stay at home, spend time with my daughter. I get to fucking cook food and fucking take care of the house as best as I can as a man. I mean, come on, I'm a guy. It's hard.
That is awesome, though, man. I mean, like, that's, I would, you know, having that time to be with the people that you love, like, I mean, that most people don't have that, man. They get very little bit, you know, 2 hours a day, maybe.
Yeah, dude, I have so much to be fucking grateful for. I'm living a fucking dream. You know what I mean? And I am teaching people and I am guiding people and I am helping people. And I also am, you know, as I'm doing more of these interviews and podcasts, I'm getting to interact with others. And through natural conversation, people are really getting to hear some of the more subtle nuances of this path. You know, it's really fucking, it's been a process.
You need to figure out how you can get away with just not ever sleeping ever. And then,
Dude,
you know, then maybe like you would have the time that you want, you know. But then again, that probably wouldn't really be sufficient at this
no,
time, too, you know.
yeah, yeah, I do that shit sometimes, dude. It's really not conducive
I mean,
to
I have nights where I can't sleep, and like I'll just be. Luckily, I'm creative when that happens, but you know, you can't do it for too long before you're just like fucking rag the fuck out. And I'll have to be
yeah,
like,
you do.
man, I'm gonna take a freaking sleeping pill and freaking go to sleep. I got to do it, you know. But it seems like
Oh yeah.
the spirits will do that to you, though. You know, like they will, like, you know, like, all right, you're going on a freaking creative spree here, and it's got to be continuous. Here we go, motherfucker. Whether you like it or not, it's on.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, with this current, it's very prevalent. And I literally, um, I think I should have put this in the book directly because just about anybody that approaches me that has began work within the path of smoke, they say, dude, I can't sleep. And I'm like, yeah, the secret is melatonin.
That shit does
Melatonin.
work. Yes.
Not only that, dude, that will help with subconscious exploration because of the types of lucid dreams that it induces. You know what I mean? If you take the right amount of melatonin, it will create awesome dream experiences that you can explore.
How much?
So,
What do you milligram wise do you recommend?
I take the 8 gram dose, preferably. I recommend people start out with 5 and kind of go from there. I wouldn't take any more than 16.
Okay.
Because at that point in time, you're going to start to have an imbalance between melatonin and serotonin. And you don't want that. The serotonin and the DMT that naturally occurs within the body is very important in regard to raising the kunda force or the kundalini. So you want to keep that in check. You know, but it's very safe, man. It's not like one of those fucking, you know, like Tylenol PMs
Right.
or Tylenol sleep shit.
It's natural. It's natural shit. Well, what about like do anything with valerian or kava kava or anything like that, or is it just melatonin, or you do with those too?
You can. I go over. There's a list of herbs that come from Ayurvedic medicine, and within the text, I lay out how these herbs can be used to affect the body, as well as how they can be applied magically. There's a lot more depth that goes into that teaching, man, because Ayurvedic medicine is very complex. It's a science. So that'll be in later work.
Are these things that are all accessible, or are some of these things going to be tough to buy? Okay.
Yeah, they're all accessible. Each and every one of them. I made sure of it. But the utilization of herbs is definitely an important part of this. And you don't see it too much in ceremonial magic anymore, man. Like, you get people publishing all of these Klipothic grimoires and, you know, satanic healing. I've seen everything under the sun, but you don't really see the herb lore anymore. Within this fucking tome, it is very important. And within this book, you also learn to awaken the consciousness of the plant. That's also important because people don't understand that what they are receiving is dead matter. You actually go through this necromantic process, which awakens the consciousness of the plant so that you can charge it to do what you want it to do. And that's whether it's for, you know, medicinal use or magical use. It becomes like a familiar. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. That is really interesting to look at it from that point of view too. Like, have you had any experience with like iboga, or I mean, kind of similar to ayahuasca, but it's iboga, I guess, is a root of a tree that's found primarily in Africa, and it induces a pretty strong hallucinogenic trip that lasts from like 8 to 16 hours or something, and basically you could be a heroin addict and go into that trip and come out of it like totally cured, no withdrawal, no urge, like it's like miracle shit. It's something that I really want to, you know, it's not legal in the United States, but it's something that like I've really been drawn to that and want to get into, you know, trying to, you know, help people to be able to get access to it, because I mean, I have experience with severe opiate addiction in my past, and motherfucker, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude. I've watched people go through the shit.
Oh, it is horrible, dude. It is fucking horrible, man. Oh shit! Talk about being in a fucking prison, in a jail cell with fucking chained to everything, man. I mean, you are fucked.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to look into it. Ayahuasca, it's funny, dude, because I actually thought about utilizing that as a tool to write an entire fucking grimoire.
That'd be interesting, man. That really would.
I actually thought of that. I've yet to really apply it. But no, one of the main herbs that I recommend everybody on the path of smoke use is ginkgo biloba.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, not ginkgo. Gotu kola.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah, because it is an herb that once awakened can pretty much cure ailments by affecting the spiritual bodies. It's used and it is considered an herb of enlightenment. So this herb is actually more within the realm of evil mind, akomana. But you see, by enlightenment or expanding consciousness, you are healing the subtle energy bodies. And as that occurs, a whole fuck ton of ailments get cured and healed.
What's the name of that again?
Gotu kola. It's spelled Gotu. Kola.
And that's something that you would find readily available, like at vitamin shop or one of those places online that sell vitamins, herbs, and all that.
Don't ever get the shit at vitamin shops, man, because like I said, you're taking in dead matter. There is a ritual process within Black Magick of Ahriman that is actually utilized to reawaken the conscious aspect of the plant. And that's very important because, like I said, there is this singularity. It's not like this plant is any different than us. But when we receive it in the mail or it's in a gel cap, right, it's dead. It's been pulverized and fucking, right? So when you make offerings to the plant and you call it forth, and you awaken it, it's so much more potent, man. And it's so much more potent in candle magic, but it's also so much more potent in healing. And then after that, you could just make tea out of it. Drink a cup a day. You know, that's what I recommend.
So you get the leaves, dried leaves of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Get the leaves. I mean, they're pulverized, but fuck, dude, it's so much better to do things that way. The healing properties are better, you know, because you can communicate with this plant and its consciousness and tell it, hey, I'm having issues with this. You know, can you help me out? Right. And through the process, I mean, you're making offerings too. It's a pretty complex process actually, but it's well worth it. And you can sit there and get fucking, I know, an entire collection of herbs and awaken them all at once. You know, you can do the same with gemstones, and you can also do the same with animal parts and dead matter that you find. You know,
bones, or you mean
that's
flesh?
Yeah, bones, skulls,
okay,
feathers, you know, things of that nature, rabbit's feet, fucking. And you can use it in magic, and it's then talismanically empowered. It's brought to life. It's something that becomes an ally on your sorcerer's quests.
Have you done anything with kratom? I mean, it has some good properties to it, but it can also become somewhat addictive and give you something like of an opiate withdrawal. But it does provide an expansion of mind and euphoria. It was almost outlawed maybe 8 months ago or so, and they were able to reverse it at the last second. But you can buy plants, or you buy it like in a powder form. You can buy like an ounce of it in a powder form, and you just put it like some orange juice and drink it. But it's not something that you'd want to do every day, of course. But
right.
That's something to that I'm gonna look into as well. That you mentioned using these things from a magical standpoint and a healing standpoint. I want to see what I can do with that too, with the kratom.
Yeah, you'll have to send me a link. I'm gonna have to remember that and do something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, I will, man. And Brian Nolan, what's up, man? And he's mentioning mugwort and blue lotus plus wild daga. He used that as a lucid dream smoking blend. Okay, so you blend those three things together and smoke it, like in a bowl or blunt or something, or what? Or I guess however you want to smoke it, right? I don't know. I've never even heard of blue lotus and wild daga. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually saw that recipe somewhere and used it once. It is pretty potent for lucid dreaming experiences. Yeah.
So it'll get you high somewhat, I guess. You get a little high, or it makes you tired, and so it's really kind of just about inducing the lucid dream more than
yeah, for me, it was more like that. Like there's a subtle shift in your energy, and a subtle shift in your perception. You know what I mean? It's not like a high, like sitting down and smoking a blunt.
Right.
But everybody loves that, you know.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely potent, dude. And it's the blue lotus is really my favorite part of that blend. Yeah, he's right though. That's definitely a very potent way to have lucid.
Makes you relaxed. We got some crazy shit in Virginia, where I live, and I guess you can get it. I guess it grows everywhere. I've never done it. I've seen some of my friends do it. It's freaking insane. There's like gypsum pods. Have you ever heard of those things? I mean, it makes you like trip to the point of where it's like you lose your perception of the three dimension. It's like it's like you're like a dog. You're only seeing in like 2D. I mean, I'm watching them like walk into fucking walls and shit, and they can't tell depth perception, and like it's just fucked, man. I'm like, I don't see how that's fun, man.
Right.
But I don't know if that could be a useful thing for expanding consciousness, though, from a magical aspect. If you were going to be stationary and trying to, you know, meditate on with that type of effect in your mind, I don't know if that would do something of that nature. But I mean, I'm just so scared to try it. I mean, it's like when I've only done DMT one time, and I'm like, and salvia, that shit is crazy, man. Like that, dude. That shit is.
And they say it's a meditation aid, bro, and that was not fun at all. I experienced 2D then. It felt like I was a magnet on a refrigerator, bro, and someone was peeling me away from reality.
Yeah.
Like the refrigerator was reality, and some demonic force was peeling me off of it. It scared me shitless. And it also felt like the couch was swallowing me.
I was like,
I'm like,
I immediately regret this shit. Like, fuck.
It felt like the couch was swallowing me at the end of it. And, you know, at the time I was living in this box. It was like my ritual chamber, and I was living in it. It was in a maid's quarters that was built on the side of a garage, had no fucking windows. And I used to mess with psilocybin mushrooms all the time when I lived in Texas, man.
Hell yeah.
But me and my buddies, we decided to go out and get some salvia. And it was some of the more potent
like
stuff,
the 80X or whatever it was. That's what I got too, the 80X, yeah. Shit scared the shit out of me, man. I didn't know what to expect, dude. I freaking put it in the bowl and smoked a shitload of it and was like, fuck. My wife was like, what the fuck did you do? And I thought I had made myself insane permanently, dude. I was fucking freaking the fuck out, man. Like, holy shit. I bought it at a head shop, dude, you know?
The couch was swallowing me, man, and I was panicking. And it was like,
yeah.
It was kind of like a sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was awake, sitting here and experiencing this 2D shit.
Trapped
and
inside.
When I tried to get up and run, it was like I was a magnet being peeled off the refrigerator, which was reality. But then when I finally gained momentum, dude, I remember getting up and bolting out the door faster than I ever ran in my life. I was that scared. I thought my couch was literally out to get me, man. It was fucking insane.
I was down in my basement, and I made it to the steps going upstairs. And as I touched each tread, it was falling away into nothing, right? But I finally made it upstairs, and I ended up in the kitchen in the silverware drawer going, oh, like fucking like tearing it all out, you know? And that's when my wife came in there and was like, what the fuck? And I was just like, dude, I don't know. You know, and then finally, like, I came down off of it, like, you know, 30 seconds later, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, did I do all that shit, man? It's like, you know, something that I could buy at a head shop downtown, like, I did not expect to blow my mind more than anything I had ever done, dude. Like, that was crazy, man.
It's scary. Like, I don't understand how people can meditate on it, because that's what it's supposedly used for. But I remember even utilizing the lowest potency and still being like, holy shit,
yeah,
I can't meditate.
It takes you away, dude.
Yeah. Like, I would really like to see someone's brainwave patterns on that shit. It would be dangerous, because I could see myself jumping out a fucking window to escape my bedroom.
Absolutely, man. I was a caboose on a train one time when I was on that shit, dude. Hey, Joseph Dunn says 20 sleeping pills and whiskey. He sees demons in human form, ghosts like crazy, talk to a snake with a human head, telling him that he's almost there. Like, it was so fucking intense, man. Shit, dude. Oh my God, I bet, man. Fuck.
Right? Because it tends to have the opposite effect when you take a little too much. Yeah, definitely. That would be intense.
I used to do the whole robo tripping thing, like drinking a whole bottle of like family size Robitussin, dude. Holy shit. That shit, it was crazy too, man. Yeah, that was back when I was like 15, you know, like, I mean, you'd get sick and puke, but as soon as you puked, like then the high would kick in. It'd be like 8 hours, man, like fucking, you know, but, you know, I've definitely done some damage to my body, but at the same time, I do feel like a lot of the psychedelic experiences that I've had have helped to open my and expand the potential of my consciousness by allowing me to see that it is possible to do. That maybe, you know, that I would have helped me to break away from the limitation, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, right, you're having these altered states of consciousness, and really what is occurring is akin to neuroplasticity, because the neurons in the brain are firing in different ways, pathways, which allow that altered state of consciousness. And once those pathways are open, you can get there again. You know what I mean? Without of the hallucinogenic aid, because that's what these things are. They are hallucinogenic aids. And, you know, I'm definitely not against the use of shamanic aids such as that. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend them. You know,
I do too. I'm a big proponent, man, actually, dude. And I utilize it quite a bit.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is a specific div within Black Magick of Ahriman who is the patron of poisons. And that's where a lot of the herb-based work was inspired by that archetype within this lore. And it's very interesting because it has an alchemical correlation in that a lot of these things that we consider toxic or poisonous can be utilized to heal.
Yeah.
So when you master the poison, it becomes a process of healing. But when you learn to, for instance, start to work with the venoms of the black sun, which are essentially elixirs, which are fluid fetishes for specific spirits, it is like you are extracting that which is poisoning your personal expansion and evolution, and you are alchemically transmuting it.
It just got weird in here, man. Sorry. It just got weird as shit in here when you said that, dude. Fuck.
But yeah, so, you know, the herb lore is very important, and that's really what I appreciate about this current, because in that way, it's very shamanic. And you just don't see it. Like, all of this obsession with ceremonial magic and applying it in satanic ways has taken us away from the true witchcraft, which is, you know, building working relationships with the plants, the gemstones, the things that we find in nature. You know what I'm saying? When you're walking, and, you know, people probably think we're crazy. Megan, man, she's into this shit, where if we drive down the road and we see a carcass, we're gonna pick it up.
That's awesome.
And we're gonna use it.
You're lucky.
She makes this shit, dude. Like, I have a hard time with it a lot because I'm like, it's flat. Oh my god, it's stuck to the road.
It's like, I got a freaking king size Ziploc in the trunk. I am ready, man. And the shovel.
Right.
Big.
And she's like, quit acting like a little bitch. Put it in the back of the car.
It's like, oh, I can't touch it, dude. Like, fuck, man. Ugh.
But it makes this weird sound when I'm peeling it off the road.
Oh shit. No.
Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, dude, so just let the flesh rot off and use the bones.
What do you like? Bury it and let that happen, or just sit it out? Let it
let it out in the sun.
Okay.
Let nature take its course. But I mean, that, dude, you gotta think though, there's something that is so true about that. You've got to really utilize the things that are available in nature.
Yeah. No, it makes sense, man. It all has an energy signature, and you know, and it has energy potential still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even after the death of the life that it was. I mean, it's you know, there's parts of it that are left behind that still remain, and so they're still going to have something that would be significant.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. I'm sure it would rather be utilized for something like that, right?
Hell yeah.
Remain in the road until some city worker has to shovel it off and do nothing with it.
Or just buried in the ground, just to stay in the ground and to
Right.
just, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's serving the cause of counter creation, man. It's serving the cause of having to, or I'm sorry, getting to expand and alchemically transmute this world through sorcery, and to free the world from the modern asshole that wants to destroy their territories and fucking destroy their families and homes and fucking.
If only people could just take a real look at it, man, and pull their heads out of their fucking asses, dude. You know?
Yeah. Fuck, man. You know, this is the thing. The human condition makes us an invasive species. The fact that we only utilize 10 to 13% of our brain is, in my eyes, the abomination of desolation. You know, because if we had our full potential activated, this world wouldn't be half as fucked up as it is. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth of the matter, man. It's just common sense.
I mentioned in an earlier podcast, there's a book that I read, man, it's only like 100 pages. You may be familiar with it, called The Latent Power of the Soul. And it was written by a Christian in the 30s as a warning to other Christians to not develop your psychic powers and the dormant potential that is within you, because that's of the devil, right? And but he talks about how powerful Adam was in the very beginning, and that like the Garden of Eden apparently spanned the whole entire globe, and that he was so advanced and powerful that he was able to like oversee it all. You know, like you know, he was able to be omnipresent and fucking basically like a god, you know, and that is in all of us, and this dude understood that. And that whole thing was about like bringing that to light, but a warning to all of his Christian brothers and sisters to like not awaken it. Do not awaken it. Do everything you can do to suppress it. You know, but it's really a cool book, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because it's really through backward understanding, man, that would make me just want to do it.
Yeah.
I've always been that way. You know what I mean?
The more demonized, the more important it is, the more potent it is.
This is what is so interesting too about the Avesta. I was able to build this curriculum and this current through the guidance of these spirits by simply pointing out the alchemical map that exists within the book itself. In other words, you don't see this in the Bible because they got smarter, and that's why the religion evolved. But within the Avesta, the authors of this text, supposedly Zarathustra wrote a lot of it, but the authors of this text told you exactly what not to do if you wanted to stay away from the divs or the gods of bad decision. Things like cutting your nails and not praying about it, cutting your hair and not praying about it, not praying after you use the bathroom.
What?
Things of this.
Fuck.
Yeah. But by telling you what not to do in so many cases and being so fucking obsessive about it, you can literally just take those bits and pieces and build an entire fucking curriculum on it, on how to conjure and utilize these demonic forces.
Yeah, to the backward thinking like you're talking about, man. Like that makes like so much sense, man. It's like It's really like
I almost
scientific approach.
think Zarathustra did it on purpose, if the man ever existed. I almost think he did it on purpose because, you know, you have to remember that this is the end of the Ice Age, man. This is the Stone Age fucking period. And he was not a Zarathustrian. He was not a Mazda-Yaznian. He was not a worshiper of the sun. During the time in which he supposedly lived, in the region in which he supposedly lived, he was most likely a priest of the Vedic faith, the Hindu religion. And so he was probably a political pawn, a tool that somebody saw potential in, who did not like the technologies of war developing, because as this happened, okay, the people from the Aryan nations were coming forth and raiding their territory. And this is why it is said that evil comes from the north. And so I bet you that as he was putting together this political agenda, he almost put this shit in place on purpose so that people could really understand how to harness these powers.
And code.
If they really. And the reason why I say that is because in the later Greek texts, the Greeks took record of fucking everything, man. They had witnessed these Zarathustrian priests sacrifice wolves, right? And spill their blood in places where the sun doesn't shine, cracks within rocks and things of this nature. And they did it to appease the Lord of Darkness. So these priests, though they were saying and telling the masses not to work with these forces, they were doing it themselves.
Those motherfuckers.
Okay. And not only that, but they were seers and astrologers. You have to remember the three wise men that found the Christ child within biblical lore. Well, Judaism didn't exist yet. They were Persians. They were Zarathustrians, man. They were astrologers. So they had wisdom of the stars, which are associated with the Ameshaspentas and the angels. But they also had knowledge of the planets, which were associated with the demons of this current, of this religion, which means the elite class very much consolidated the darkness and the light, and they harnessed them both.
That's what I was going to say.
Were also
the elitists were the ones doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were building an empire by harnessing both the powers of darkness and light, which is really, you know, the power of the singularity, the power of their fullest potential. And the religion itself was just a way to create a priestly caste, which was really no different from the ruling class at that time, from those who were outside of it, to keep them misinformed. And it was at this point in time that they started to essentially shut down the potential of the brain. And I lay that all out in the book from various angles. You know what I mean?
And then there, after that, you have all the religions like you do now that are still practicing that kind of misinformation and control from that, from where that started, but you're alluding to now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
That was the model right there.
Yeah, within the text, I also point out specific biblical characters that, you know, within the modern Bible, they make it look like these people were Jewish, and they weren't. They were fucking Zarathustrians, man. And it is proven through historical records. You can't tell me this motherfucker was a propagator of Yahweh. He wasn't. He was a Mazda-Yaznian. He worshipped the sun. You know, what's his face in the Bible? Who was it? He charged Ezra to write Jewish law. That tells you right there that he wasn't Jewish. If you have to write Jewish law that doesn't exist yet, then this king was not Jewish. And the whole time through this passage, this king is saying, you know, essentially, praise the God of our fathers, praise the God of our kingdom. Well, Yahweh didn't exist yet in that part of the timeline, the linear timeline that we are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me right there in the Bible, it's right there in the Bible, Christianity did not exist. This is not a part of Jewish doctrine either. This originates from Zarathustrian doctrine. Essentially, this king, in Persia, he was called Artaxerxes. Artaxerxes.
Okay.
Artaxerxes. King Artaxerxes in the Bible charged Ezra to write Jewish law. King Artaxerxes is the same as King Artaxerxes within Persia, and he was known historically as a king who worshipped Ahura Mazda.
Ah, okay.
If you blow the lid and you let that cat out of the bag, dude, it completely wipes away Christian credentials.
Damn.
And the validity.
My mom would be so disappointed.
Oh, definitely. Now, this is the same person. This is the same person, this historical figure who does exist within history, King Artaxerxes. He was the same person who brought together something like 40,000 Mobeds or Zarathustrian priests, 40,000 Magi. And he was the one that had them commit their theology to writing. Because Zarathustrianism in the Stone Age was more of an oral tradition.
Right.
Everything passed on orally, man, right down to the astrological teaching, everything. The sciences that they capitalized on, you know, all of it was committed to writing. All of it. So this dude was obsessed with committing things to writing.
You got that from the Greeks, or that was something that he just...
That was his thing. That was his thing. As a matter of fact, it was most likely first written in Babylonian cuneiform.
Okay.
And then as the sister languages started to evolve, it was written in Pahlavi and then in Avestan and, you know, all the way down the line. But the main thing is this is one of the first political figures who was obsessed with recording things in writing. And the logical reason for that is that it capitalizes on the left side of the brain, or the logical aspect of the brain. And by focusing too much upon that, you start to shut down the faculties of the right side of the brain, thereby limiting the potential of human consciousness. And this is what sets the stage for people being programmed. If they read it, they believe it.
Yeah, it's got to be true, right?
It's on the internet. It's true.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I saw Joseph Nunn the other day talking about how, you know, they post all these bogus ass articles on Facebook, you know, and like, dude, he said essentially, to paraphrase, he's like, man, if I don't see it from 3 sources, I'm not even going to pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it's fucking
misinformation and misdirection, and I mean, it's everywhere, you know, and like NLP and freaking, you know, it's all has an agenda, really. Everything, it's like all of it has an agenda, and it's just in plain sight to a lot of us, but to those that are asleep, it's just like they just take it at face value like that.
Yeah, dude.
They eat it up
at face value.
It's like a buffet. You know,
it's just amazing, man, because nobody knows how to ask questions. They know how to accumulate facts. That does not lead to wisdom. It doesn't. That does not lead to knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've got to sit here and tell people all the time, you got to question everything. You know what I mean? And I get a lot of people ask me questions, and that's cool. As long as you're not asking me to fucking do crazy things, which, you know what I mean? I get that too, man. Like,
What do you mean?
I really can. Like, okay, let's utilize a hypothetical fucking situation.
Okay.
It's really not hypothetical, but I had someone hire me to do a magical rite, and they wanted me to essentially remove their unborn child.
Ooh.
And that's pretty deep.
Yeah, it is deep.
You know, and you know, I'm like, fuck, how do I do this? Like, I have to fight my own moral code. And I try to talk logic into people, man. I really try to help people. You know what I'm saying? But that's just fucking, it's hard for me to do.
Well, I mean, you know,
I ask,
Dr. Kevorkian had his, you know, his thing, but I mean, it seemed like to me that was it was a positive win-win situation, really, in most cases.
right.
Depends on your perspective, I guess, right?
I mean, and there's shit that isn't so deep, man. Like, oh, they want me to send them a PDF of my book. I'm like, dude, this is how I feed my family.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, if you are a practicing occultist, right, and you know how to spell, you know how to think, I might send you excerpts from the book and, you know, have you write a review. But come on, if you're a working practicing magician, you could come up with the money to buy it.
Yeah.
Go blow smoke somewhere else. Go blow the path of smoke somewhere else. You know, I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? I really respect this work, and you've got to be willing to pay the dowry. I don't even really consider it a cost. If I gift it to somebody to write a review or something, that's one thing. You know, because of course
I'm getting a copy tonight, dude. Straight up.
it's a fucking beautiful thing, man, and it's worth the fucking money. And this is the fucking issue, is that when people don't want to pay that dowry, they're not going to appreciate it anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. It is. There's no value in it, man. There's no value in it at all.
It's going to sit in their thumb drive along with hundreds of other fucking pirated books that they don't ever fucking read.
It's worthless to them. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I really truly believe that. It's like, you know, it's you got to put some skin in the game to really put value on something, because if it's just freely, you know, this and that, it's this doesn't really mean anything to you. You know, it doesn't. You don't put any value into it, and you don't get any value out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time, man, I had a client years ago, bro, and she wanted me to get her ex-husband back. I charged her $500 because that was like, it was my flat rate. It pretty much still is. I charged her $500 to do this right. And I evoked a goetic jinn for this purpose. Because the dude was fucking essentially getting a divorce. There was no turning back. And come to find out, she had withheld information from me. Essentially, she was a cocaine addict. This dude was a hardworking man.
Oh,
right? And she was blowing all of his money behind his back on cocaine.
damn.
I did the magic anyway, right? Instead of just telling her what it was. Like, you're stealing from this dude and you're keeping him from being able to provide a good life for you. Like, I didn't say all this. I just went ahead and I did the fucking magic. The divorce hearing comes up a week later and the dude doesn't show up. That's great fucking news, right? He didn't show up to the fucking divorce hearing.
So by default, she gets
the magic is working. She gets fucking pissed, essentially, because his bags ain't packed and on the fucking front porch for her to fucking take in. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Like, you don't understand that now is the time for you to move forward and start putting yourself into some sort of outpatient program and doing what the fuck you need to do, because he's obviously hesitating to move forward with the fucking divorce. This magic has been put into motion. And me, as a spiritual counselor, I'm giving you the knowledge and wisdom you need to make this happen. You paid me $500 to do this, and now you're telling me you don't want to put forth the fucking effort? You deserve the divorce, bitch. I don't know what else to tell you.
Is that what happened? Or did she get help, or what did she do?
No, she just blew me off after that. Especially after I said you deserve the divorce.
Some people, man,
she
lost.
Really only she wanted him back so that she could have her source of fucking dope.
Right. Like it's like a sugar daddy situation, really, you know. But he didn't even know he was a sugar daddy, really. And
Right.
he didn't get nothing out of it either, you know, not a damn thing out of it.
It's fucking sad, man.
It is, man. It is, dude. I know. I've seen situations like that, man, and you know, more and more prevalent in today's society. You know, like it's I guess because it's just there's so much shit that's imposed on us, and people, you know, there are people that feel that they're trapped in that cell, but they don't know what to do to break out of it. They don't know about this. And maybe even if they saw it, they couldn't really grasp the concept or have their eyes opened up to it. So instead, they're just going to numb themselves however they fucking can to exist in this shit, the shitty cell, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that is what it's about. It's about the enslavement. It's about the enslavement process and knowing that you're enslaved, and you know, you'd rather be a slave to something that takes you out of this plane than having to deal with shit head on.
I've been there, man. I have been there. I was there for years and years and years, man. You know, and then get comfortably numb, you know?
Yeah.
Straight up, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been there.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I used to have very, very sick issues with fucking alcohol, man.
Oh.
And you know, that was really a cage that the path of smoke helped me break out of.
Like liquor,
You know
liquor or beer or both or what?
Malt liquor.
Oh, okay.
Malt liquor. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, man. Warren, Ohio. Youngstown, Ohio. I was like the minority. And it was cheap. When you're working for fucking $8 an hour and you can't make ends meet, you don't have money to buy Crown Royal. You know what I mean? You're gonna go buy fucking Steel Reserve 211, you know, that nasty.
Fuck yeah, dude. I know exactly what you mean.
Right. Or Wild Irish Rose. Just get a big old beer for $5.
I was bad on those Four Locos for a while, man. When I was bad on the opiate addiction, dude, I was drinking like 4 of them bitches a day, man, at work during the day.
Yeah.
Oh, Joseph said clean and sober for 10 years, man. Fuck, that's awesome, dude. That is awesome, man. It's hard. It's really hard, man. It really is, dude. It really is, man. And let these people know how they can find you and get in contact with you for services and things like that. And then your YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah. Actually, I'm putting together another YouTube channel called, actually, it's going to be Patreon. It's going to be called Temple of Black and Fire. That's probably going to start up next week.
Cool.
Once the intro is done, and through subscription, essentially people are going to be able to get video lessons. It's going to be like an ongoing video course where the deeper secrets of this current will be revealed. There'll be a lot of ritual demonstrations. So look for Temple of Black and Fire on Patreon next week. Draconian Arcanum.
So not on YouTube, right? Patreon's like this new thing, right?
And then my YouTube channel is Kurtis Joseph. It was once Draconian Arcanum. That's still what I call it, Draconian Arcanum. And a lot of podcasts are going to be set up on that specific channel. A lot of basic teaching. But
you're still going to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going to do both because I like to give out the free information, man. You know, the general teaching. to get the word out about the work. And I still teach. It's just I don't reveal all the deeper stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, how do you prefer people to get in touch with you, to hire you for ritual services and like mentoring and things like that? You know, do you get in touch with you through one of these channels, or how do you want them to go about that?
Ritual for Hire is available through Become a Living God.
Okay,
Kurtis Joseph / Ahriman.
that's right.
Mentorship program I make available through the Temple of Black and Fire website, and that's a project in the making.
Okay, cool.
You know, everyone needs to keep an eye out for upcoming slideshow presentations as well through the Become a Living God channel, because I'm going to start doing a lot of those to really reveal some of the more subtle nuances of the current that were not necessarily promoted at the beginning, because it all deserves equal attention. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then always hit me up on Facebook. Look for Kurtis Joseph. I pretty much will accept you if you seem like a legit person. I do not accept everybody though.
You be doing any?
Do
you do any tweets to tweeting?
No, I stay out of Twitter.
I'm not, man. I've never tweeted, and I don't really plan on tweeting really. But and about Instagram, you on Instagram?
Nope.
Instagram, okay.
Dude, I have enough trouble with Facebook. I really do.
Well, I mean, with all that different shit, I know you're busy, man, and you know, I'll make sure that I get the any of the links and all that stuff from you, so I can put it in the description of this podcast.
For sure.
Find you. And I appreciate you coming on, man. And I really think this was a fucking kick-ass podcast, and I think it's people are really going to be talking about it and they're really gonna dig it, man. And of course you can put it on your playlist on your channel too. So like it's you know, that much more exposure and people that run across it. So you know, I think this was really great, man, and I can't wait to do it again.
For sure, man. Anytime. I really do appreciate the opportunity, man. Like I said, it's really hard to just simply open up and talk to somebody about it. Not as a teacher, but just, you know, let's just get it out there. What's this all about? You know, I really
man,
the opportunity.
And I can't wait to finish reading this. And I am going to purchase that. I've got to have it, man. And I'm genuinely excited about this, man. I mean, like I feel a pull, you know, towards it, like like I can't even explain it, and I can't even put it into words. You know, I just feel pulled towards it. You know,
most people do, man, and it's really because I'm not teaching anything. All I'm doing is pointing out shit that's buried deep within the atavistic mind. All of humanity already knows this stuff. It's just a mirror that they can look at it and reflect upon it. And you'll tell, man, you'll love it. Even if you just read the book, you'll be like, yeah, this was life-changing, because it will. Just reading it.
I think this podcast right here will definitely help them to understand what it's all about. And I mean, really, if they are really looking to for self-transformation, you know, for a lifetime, this sounds like this is it, man.
Oh yeah, it's badass, man.
And they can find that through Become a Living God as well, right? They can purchase Magick Of Ahriman through Become a Living God. I guess it'd be Become a Living God / Ahriman or
well, just Google Black Magick of Ahriman. It'll come up. I think it's Become a Living God / Kurtis Joseph.
Okay. Very cool.
I'll send you all the links to put in the description, brother, for sure. And I appreciate talking to you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I got to go get on the road to get to my in-laws. I'm staying there tonight, and you know, is what it is. It can only be but so cool, you know. But when I get there, I'm gonna just hit the sack. So, I mean, hey, man, I really want to do this again soon, and you know, like I really, this is awesome, dude. So thank you so much.
Oh, for sure.
And And yeah, all you guys know too, you know, my website is JD, what is it? JDtemple.info for all of the services that, or most of the services that I provide. And then of course, you know, my channel, because if you're watching this, then you know what it is. So, and I'm on Facebook too. So, you know, you can find me there, but, definitely look for Kurtis on Pantheon and YouTube and Facebook, and his website will be coming out. And on Become a Living God for rituals and his awesome tome, Magick Of Ahriman. And thanks, guys, for participating in the chat. That was freaking awesome. You know, Ryan, Joseph Nunn, shoot, man, everybody, you know, Nina, and shoot, man, Violet, all of you, like, thank you. I'm sure there's somebody I couldn't name, James. You know, I don't want to leave anybody out, man. And if I did, I'm an asshole and I'm sorry. My mind is not where it needs to be to remember all that. But I love all you guys. And thank you again, Kurtis. And everybody have a great night, a great weekend. And we'll see you soon. Peace out.
Later.